But first, we begin with Maryland's budget and the agreement announced just yesterday. During a press conference, state leaders announced $500 million in cuts on top of the $2 billion already proposed by Governor Moore.
But when pressed about where those cuts would come from, lawmakers said details would come later. We have live team coverage this afternoon, beginning with Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost.
That's right. She joins us live from the State House after pressing Senate President Bill Ferguson on these cuts. And Mackenzie, a lot of unknowns at this point. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Mary and Vince, that's right. It sounds like instead of a few big cuts, there will be a combination of smaller ones to make up this budget deficit in addition to the tax increases. But as we're learning more details, we're still pressing legislative leaders to get a better idea of exactly what's on the chopping block.
After leaders in Maryland scramble to answer our questions about what's being cut from the budget.
If you are confident that there is $500 million more in cuts, can you share with the people at home what exactly the state government is planning to cut?
I mean, sure. The agreement includes at least this amount in cuts. He still has to go through all the committees and through each of our chambers.
Look, I think the best thing to do would be, I know this isn't the end of the discussion. You're going to see in an hour the House's version, and you'll see those cuts. It's a whole list of things.
Can you give us an example of one?
Vacancy reduction.
See it an hour. Vacancy reduction is a great one.
All right, guys, thank you also.
Our search for specifics continues.
It is a pleasure to be with everyone today.
Friday, Senate President Bill Ferguson says at least $500 million will be cut on top of what the governor called to slash. That list, though, is not finalized. In the Department of Legislative Services analysis of the governor's plan, it outlines a litany of cuts, including slashing the Maryland Native Plants Program, High School Driver's Ed Fund, the Fund for the Construction Education, the Public Broadcasting Commission, and several others.
There are hundreds of small cuts that are going to be made by the committees. Those add up to hundreds of millions.
In addition to a $111 million cut to the university system.
Because, vacancy reduction is going to be one of the biggest numbers that is above where the governor's budget was.
Can you provide a list of what else could be on the table as these negotiations continue and more cuts could be made?
Well, I would say as part of the agreement, we've asked the administration, and the administration has agreed to some across-the-board additional reductions. It is a across-the-board approach to reduce the expenditures by significant dollars in the tune of $100 to $125 million of cuts above what has been identified.
So just to clarify, each agency head has been given a target in terms of what they're supposed to be going through and looking for additional cuts, a dollar amount?
We've given a structured goal that we are hoping that the administration the administration has agreed to meet by finding additional cuts inside of government operations.
We're getting more clarity about what is included in the budget framework outside of the 3% tax on data and IT services, which Senator Ferguson argues is necessary for Maryland's changing economy.
We are broadening the tax code. What we know is happening is that technology is displacing humans working, and there are big concerns about what that looks like moving forward.
Fox 45 News obtained a copy of the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, or BRFA, tax provisions, where all of the tax increases are outlined, like the income tax changes, capital gains surcharge, cannabis tax increase, the implementation of the 6% sales tax on vending machine sales, speeding up the vehicle registration fee hike by 1 year, plus an increase on the vehicle excise tax. Senator Ferguson says the capital gains tax changes and transportation-related fee increases will funnel more money to the Transportation Trust Fund.
I think the Senate's position is really how can we make sure that we are tying revenues that are most closely aligned to infrastructure investment.
More infrastructure investment, along with workforce development, are elements he says companies look for when deciding where to do business. A major concern as the state's economy continues to slump forward. While Governor Moore says his goal is to grow the private sector, specifically areas like AI, cyber, and quantum, Republicans argue the 3% tax hamstrings that goal.
These types of market signals that the General Assembly is sending out is doing the exact opposite, and businesses that are looking to either grow or invest in the state of Maryland will look at these and say, Maryland's not the place to do business.
As the economy shifts from goods to services, Senator Ferguson argues the tax code needs to change as well, especially as technology becomes more ingrained in businesses' everyday operations.
And it has become, in and of itself, a good. We have to be mindful about taxes. We know that there is a tipping point. I don't believe we're anywhere close to it.
But a day after the framework deal announcement, we continue to search for those specifics as lawmakers make their final decisions about how to spend your tax dollars.
Now, we still don't know if that IT and data service tax that is on the table and that is lawmakers say is going to be included will be applied to your phone bill. And Governor Wes Moore continues to tout his income tax reform, saying that it will help middle-class Marylanders. According to an analysis of that proposal, the average Maryland family of four making $100,000 would see a reduction of $53 in its state tax burden, something Republicans say would quickly be offset by the tax increase included. Live in the State House, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.